Illman, Matt Bernier, nice card of racing at Zia on Wednesday. Let's take a look at the field for the $200,000 Zia Park Derby. We're going 1 1/16. And Matt, the number one untrapped 8-5 on the morning line, understandable. He just won the Oklahoma Derby and the horse he beat Battle of Midway, came back to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with a 108 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, he's the horse to beat in here, and there's no real argument about that. Just on his overall body of work, the horses that he's beaten. Also worth noting, the last place finisher in the Oklahoma Derby, B Squared, came back to win a stakes race with a 96 buyer or 97 buyer speed figure. Excuse me. The other thing too, he has tactical speed. He doesn't have to come from out of it. There's just that part of me. You and I have both been in agreement about this. I still think shorter is better, preferably one turn. At the end of the day, he's way the horse to beat. I don't want him at the price he's going to go off at.
I've never been right about this horse. I liked him in the Ohio Derby, and I guess he ran well considering he was in against the razor-sharp IRAP and Gervin. I liked him in the Indiana Derby. Again, he caught IRAP. He caught Colonel's Dark Temper, who came back to win the West Virginia Derby. And I said, you know, you're right. 1 1/8, too much against Battle of Midway. It's not going to work out. And of course, Untrapped wins at 11-1. You're not getting anything close to that. Steve Asmussen has done very well at Zia Lifetime, but over the past 6 or 7 years, going back in Formulator, going back in our DRF system, he's 0 for 21. A lot of those horses 3-1 or less, several of them odds on. Maybe something to keep in mind, although this horse is the horse to beat. And it is worth noting he showed a lot more speed last time out. And it'll be interesting to see how he is placed in the early portion of this race, because the Timeform US pace projector believes that this pace could be solid. And Untrapped might have to come from farther off it. Do you agree with this pace projector?
Yeah, mainly because I think there are a couple of horses in here, no disrespect, that you got to go. There's no sense in sitting back and trying to make a run. You're unproven at this level. You've got some speed. Use it. I think if you're Untrapped and you're Ricardo Santana, you don't want to be coming from the rear of the pack. Just as long as you can stay within range, I think you're going to be fine. Don't allow traffic to become a problem. If you think you're on the best horse, make sure you're going to work at a decent enough trip.
Let's talk about the expected 3 early leaders. One of them, the 9 General Counsel, is 30-1 on the morning line, just beaten 10 lengths in a starter optional claimer by a horse that's come back to eventually be stakes placed on dirt with a 75 buyer. This horse is really going to have to improve. 2 back, he won a race at Albuquerque by 19 on the lead.
One of the horses in here that I just have a very, very difficult time envisioning them winning.
The 7 Steely Resolve, though, is a fascinating horse because he's always been cut out to be a good horse. He's a son of Candy Ride. He sold for $875,000 way back in April of 2016. You got the feeling just by looking at him, it's taken Doug O'Neill a whale of a time to get him sound, because he doesn't debut till November of his 3-year-old campaign. He won in solid fashion, and now they're wheeling him back in 3 weeks and stretching him out. They're trying to get the money now.
Yeah, you see all the sort of starts and stops in the workout tab. He comes back, he debuts at 6.5, bet like a good thing, bet like he's supposed to be a good thing. I find it fascinating he's already been gelded, again, for a horse that they paid almost $900,000 for. The big thing for me about that run at Del Mar, I thought he ran just fine. Keep in mind, that was Breeders' Cup weekend.
Right.
He was on the outside part of the racetrack. The horse that he ran down was buried down on the rail. I don't know that I want to downgrade him, but I certainly can't upgrade him and say, oh, well, you know, first time out, you did this, that, and the other thing. You were on the best part of the track. I think he's okay, though.
The horse the Timeform US had 3rd on the pace projector, passed by Paul, was beaten 26 lengths by General Counsel in that race at Albuquerque, his most recent start going long. His sprints since then have been good against much weaker competition, but he will be a pace player stretching out.
If I can't make a case for General Counsel, I can't make a case for Passed by Paul.
You're to blame. Just sold at the Keeneland November sale for $440,000. And this is a horse, you look at his record, yes, he is graded stakes place sprinting. I don't know. They must like this horse. Certainly has a beautiful pedigree enough to perhaps be a stallion prospect. 440, this horse must be in pretty good form, and he must look good. Chad could never really get the best out of him ever. I've always liked him as a late-running sprinter personally, and Michael Maker's only had this horse for a very short amount of time. He's only gotten 1 workout into him.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just an instance where you look at the calendar and you say, there's big money to be had at Zia. Let's take a shot. We've got him. Distance at face value isn't a problem. I agree with you 100%. I think he's a one-run kind of closing sprinter. I understand. Maybe the thing, too, to keep in mind, maybe I'm giving up a little too early. He's had blinkers once in his career. He's always come from 100 out of it. But that run at Belmont most recently, it's come back strong. Motown, I know it was on turf, but he came back. 102 buyer, the 4th place finisher, won next out with a 101. Timeform has that race being intensely closer friendly, and he was coming from the back of the pack. Just something, a little bit of food for thought.
The 10 Chief Know-It-All was claimed for $100,000 by Robertino Diodoro. He shipped him to Canada, he shipped him out west, and he got 2 graded stakes wins, winning the Canadian Derby, the British Columbia Derby. Of course, those are oddly configured courses, multiple turns. He's going to get to a more conventional track as Zia, and those Beyer speed figures, I'm not sure can do it from those races in Western Canada.
No, he's going to need to up his game in a pretty significant way. Now, maybe the distance is going to be even a little bit sharp for him. I look at it and say, I know you've got that outside post. I don't think he's good enough.
Horsefly finished second to a horse named Blue Azul, with him placed first via disqualification last time out at Zia, so he has a win over the track. And that horse came back to win by over 8 lengths with a 78 Beyer speed figure. Still, this horse must prove that he can hang against stakes caliber horses.
Crossed the wire first one time in 15 lifetime starts. No, thank you.
Equator finished first last time out at Zia, sprinting. He beat Passed by Paul. He has won around 2 turns at Oaklawn in the past, but Chief Know-It-All hammered him back in January.
I guess of the 2 and the 3, I would pick the 3, but even having said that, I'm not thrilled about that.
PC Cowboy scored at Remington Park last time out, a race where the 5th place finisher came back to win. A non-winner's a one other than allowance with only a 77 Beyer speed figure. He's somewhat lightly raced, though. I think he can project a little bit of improvement, but he is facing some solid competition, better than what he's used to.
He's just too slow on paper for me to make a case.
Let's take a look at our picks for the Zia Park Derby. I picked, I think, the most likely winner, and maybe it was a mistake, because I think I picked the horse to beat. I think you might have picked the horse to bet in the number 8 Cedar Town, and I want you to expound on him, because I agree with everything you're going to say.
Yeah, I think the best thing about this horse, particularly, we'll get to the Keeneland race in a minute, but if you go through, he's still lightly raced. He's never been out of the exactor from 5 lifetime. Ever since they've stretched him out, I've been really impressed. I like everything about his runs. The Keeneland race, you look at a couple different things. One, the way that they had the racetrack set up that day as far as what Timeform thinks. I think it was helping closers. He was a few lengths off the pace throughout. I love the fact that he needed to start and stop a couple times. Jose Ortiz wanted to get him to start going, and there was nowhere to go, so he had to take back. And all of a sudden, normally you see horses, the minute you tell them to go, they're not going to listen. This horse came to hand again when he was asked to go. He would go, wait, finally got a seam, kicked on. I thought it was a phenomenal effort. I think it's 10 times better, in my opinion, than it looks on paper. He's getting a significant jump in class here. He's going to be facing much better horses, no denying that, but I kind of look at it and say, I think Untrapped is way the horse to beat. I'm not terrified of him at what figures to be. Is he going to be even money? He might be in that ballpark. I think Cedar Town's very interesting.
And like Steely Resolve, Cedar Town was a big-ticket 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to get to the races, but once he's gotten here, he has stayed here. And after 5 starts, as you mentioned, never out of the exacta, he could get just a great pace situation if that fast pace that Timeform US projects works out on the racetrack. Matt's going to go 8-1-7-6. I'm going to go 1-8-6-7 in the $200,000 Zia Park Derby. Race number 9 at Zia is part of a very nice card on Wednesday. And if you're playing that card from home, please consider DRF bets, because if you do, no-brainer, $300 sign-up bonus when you head over to drf.com/fall and utilize the promo code FALL300. Again, approximate post for the Zia Park Derby, 3:46 Mountain Time. Good luck.